Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to count down the 10 most submitted books into CGC for the month of June. And I will tell you that Miles Morales continues to dominate the list. But if you're curious as to which Miles Morales books are in the top spots, you have to stay tuned. Before we get to the list, I have to take a moment to acknowledge the sponsor of this video, COMIC. COMIC is a fantastic platform for buying and selling comics. It is a platform that is built by collectors for collectors, so you definitely want to check them out using the link in the description of this video after you watch the video. Stay tuned. Number 10 on the list is Nice House on a Lake, issue number 1 from James Tyan. At present, there are a total of 3,300 graded copies of this book on the CGC census, with 2,564 of them a CGC 9.8. The value of this book has continued to decline month over month. Last month, this book at a 9.8 was sitting at $110. This month, it has fallen to $95. But the real story can be seen in the 30-day average. This month, the 30-day average is $51, and last month, it was $62. My guess is that we are going to continue to see the value of this book decline. Number 9 on the list is X-Men number 4, Volume 2, the first appearance of Omega Red. The census count on this book has continued to increase month over month, and this month the census count has increased by 702 copies, bringing the total number of graded copies to 11,372. If you tuned in to one of my recent unboxings, you probably saw me unbox several copies of this book, so I have definitely contributed to that census count. Like other books on the list, the value of this book has also declined. A 9.8 has an FMV of $160, which is down from an FMV of $190 last month. The 30-day average is sitting at $173 versus a one-year average of $221 for a 9.8. Number 8 on the list is Venom Lethal Protector issue number 1. This book continues to be incredibly popular, and as a result of that, copies are still flowing into CGC. In fact, the census count for this book over last month has increased by 776 total copies. At present, there are 16,480 total graded copies of this book on the census. The current FMV for a 9.8 is $130, which is down $10 from last month. Number 7 on the list is Spawn's Universe, the one-shot, and this is the second month that this book has been in the 7th spot. Month over month, we've seen the census count on this comic increase by more than 800 copies. What's really interesting is that the FMV for a 9.8 has remained the same month over month. The value sits at about $55, and the 30-day average has actually increased to $41, up from $35 just last month. Number 6 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 361. This book remains incredibly popular and continues to flow into CGC. This book is also the first appearance of Carnage. At present, there are more than 26,300 graded copies of this book on the CGC census, and it honestly shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Despite the number of books that are flowing into CGC, this book is holding its value by and large. The 9.8 has a current FMV of $525, and the 30-day is sitting at $510. Both of these numbers are slightly down from last month, but like I said, you cannot see a huge fall off in value, which is a little surprising again, because this book has been on the list consistently for well over a year. And also the movie, the Carnage movie, or the Venom movie technically, is in the rearview mirror. Yet the value is still there. Number 5 on the list is X-Men #1 Volume 2, and I am not at all surprised to see this book on the list given the number of books that were printed, but also because Jim Lee's signing at CGC is on the horizon, and so again, no shocker to see this book on the list. Now, what is a little surprising to me is that there are only a total of 12,404 graded copies of this book on the census, and again, this is one of the most printed books of the 90s, and there are only 12,000 copies on the census. So again, that's a little surprising to me. Maybe it is to you as well. I'm even more shocked that there are only 11 9.9s on the census. The FMV and the 30-day average for this book at a 9.8 have slipped from last month. The current FMV is $95 and the 30-day average is just $92. Number 4 on the list is Moon Knight issue #1 from 1980.
The question on everyone's mind, is there a season 2?
Why else would we be in Cairo?
Given that a second season of Moon Knight on the Disney Plus network may be on the horizon, we can probably count on seeing this book on the list for the foreseeable future. The current census count is just above 9,000 copies. Unlike last month, this book has seen a steep decline from the one-year average. Last month it was holding pretty steady, but there seems to be a huge fall off at present. The one-year average is currently $861 and the 30-day average is only $446. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as more news may come out about the Moon Knight series. My guess is that we are going to continue seeing copies come into CGC, but I am curious as to what will happen with the value. Number 3 on the list is Spawn issue #1 from Todd McFarlane. This book continues to appear on the list and it also continues to hold its value. The 30-day average for this book is $186, which is roughly what it was last month. The current FMV is $180. In previous videos, I highlighted that there were 69 9.9s of this book on the census. What's awesome is that one of these copies recently sold. On June 10th, a 9.9 was sold for $4,716 on COMIC Link. The previous sale for a 9.9 was $5,040 in February of this year. It's not often that you see these books come up for sale, and so it's kind of cool to see it actually happen. Number 2 on the list is Miles Morales Spider-Man issue #30, specifically the BAM Box edition. All of these Signature Series books are signed by Tyler Kirkham. The FMV for this yellow label book is currently sitting at $130. The last 2 sales have averaged closer to $105, so my guess is that we'll see the FMV for this book continue to decline in the coming months should it continue to appear on the list. Number 1 on the list yet again is Ultimate Fallout issue #4, the facsimile edition. This book is performing slightly better this month than last month. The 30-day average has increased to $56, but the last few sales have been closer to $39, which again is slightly better than it was in the month of May. It'll be really interesting to see what happens to this list overall, whether there are going to be any kind of shifts when we look at the next month's data. The May data and the June data looked very similar, and so it'll be interesting again to see if there is any kind of shift in what people have submitted into CGC. My hope is that when that video is released, you will tune in, and the best way to make sure you don't miss that video is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Just go ahead and tap the button, turn on notifications, and that way you won't miss out on any of the content. I'm curious as to whether there were any books on this list that surprised you, and if so, I definitely encourage you to leave your thoughts behind. And as I mentioned, don't forget to check out Hip Comic using the link in the description. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.